Bonjour tout le monde, good day everyone, and welcome to another episode of the UX Voyager where we think and talk about designs. Come over to, how are you? Okay, let me stop flexing my French. Aujourd'hui, okay, that was the last one. Today, our discussion is very relatable and it is something you have dealt with, are dealing with, or will deal with. I'll paint a scenario to put you in the atmosphere of today's voyage. Shalewa is a very good cook. She learned from her mother, who is the best. She would always boast about that. Anytime she has friends or colleagues over, they gave her mind blowing compliments and compared her signature jollof rice with top restaurants in the city. Some teased that she would make it bigger if she sells jollof rice rather than depending on the Miagra salary she earns from teaching. That is a good idea, Shalewa thought. She made some calls to her favorite people to help her with money to start this jollof rice business. Her plan was to sell some during school hours to teachers and students, and during closing hours, she would continue her business in front of her house, a space she had begged Baba landlord to use. After a month, Shaliwa had stopped the business. Why? Most teaching staff are married, and they brought food from their home, like other students did. And the ones who don't, they settled for snacks and fizzy drinks. Even when she got home to sell, a lot of people bought on credit. She saw one of her debtors last week and he was asking if she still sells. She responded with a bombastic criminal offensive side eye. Hmm, I'm still selling. Come and eat. Shalewa gambled on research and witnessed the negative side immediately. This story I have just narrated is similar to when your manager or client walks up to you and say, "We need a design by tomorrow morning." And no, we don't have time for research. Just make it look good. This is the reality of many projects out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not implying you carry out research on every task. But even if you have to go and check how your competitors do it, there's still a level of research that goes into it. Evidently, we are talking about the reality of designing without research. That uncomfortable space where you are expected to pull solutions out of the thin air, read minds, and somehow create something brilliant. All of this without understanding the underlying root cause, actual problem, or even the users. Whether you call it design gambling, shooting in the dark, or my personal favorite, designing blind. This episode is for all of you who have created something without the foundation that research provides. Like I was saying, this happens everywhere. From startups to corporate giants, from freelance gigs to prestigious agencies. Sometimes the timeline simply doesn't accommodate proper research. Sometimes the client genuinely believes they already know what the user wants. And sometimes leadership does not just value research, they don't value it enough to invest in it. Many times I have been approached for a redesign. It's just like those clients rehearsed it. They come to me saying, they need a simple redesign for their product. Users are confused. Just make it cleaner and all that, as if that is all there is to design. There's no time for interviews, no analytics presented for review, not even a decent brief explaining the actual problems. So, what they are really asking is read my mind and the minds of our thousands of our users, then fix everything without asking questions. And it could be what I don't pray for it to be, orga-centric design. Sounds absurd, yeah? Yes. That is the bread and butter of our fast-paced design environments that we find ourselves in. This is not a case of it can never be me. If it is you, how will you handle it? Now, let's talk about what typically happens when research gets skipped. Of course, there are consequences, and the cost of repair is usually more than the cost of getting it right in the first place. Because, one, you are essentially playing a high stakes at the table, you are playing a very high guessing game. You don't understand the problem, you are designing a solution for what you think might be the problem, imaginary problems. So that's like a doctor prescribing medication without diagnosing the patient. You will likely face endless revisions. This one, I'm a very, very good customer. Freelancers can relate well with this. The client said, no, that's not what I meant. Or users still don't get it. Without research to back your decisions, you are vulnerable. So your opinions are simply subjective rather than the objective needs. And this also hits close to home. There is a psychological toll this takes on us as designers. That nagging feeling that you're an imposter, the feeling that you're somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic and no one is coming to save you, the frustration of I can't go forward, I can't go back. You have rehydrated, and you just feel stuck all in the middle and just tired of the project that you don't want to do again. Trust me, I've been there more times than I care to admit. The irony is that skipping research usually ends up taking more time and more money in the long run. You can save 2 weeks by skipping research, only to spend 2 months on revisions and ultimately a completely overhaul redesign. Why? The solution does not fit. Okay, enough of crying and wailing. Let's talk about what we can actually do when we find ourselves in this situation. One, fight. I don't mean physically. Fight for even minimal research time. I've learned that asking for just 24 hours can make a lot of difference. Frame it in terms of ROI. Give me 1 day of research. I'll save you 2 weeks of revision. There's something called guerrilla research, which brings me to my second point because you'll be surprised what you can learn in just 1 hour. Talking to 3 to 5 people under 5 minutes could give you insight to some things. A simple competitive analysis under 90 minutes could reveal some things to you. Simple 5 question survey too could also give you some tangible results. Reading through existing customer feedbacks, the support tickets, that is a gold mine of insights. Another thing you could do is leveraging on your existing knowledge, but this is simply at the bottom of the pyramid. Expert opinion. The experience you have gained from past projects, industry patterns you have observed, best practice you have studied, when it comes to all this heuristic stuff, this becomes your research substitute when formal research is not an option. But obviously, a data driven solution or approach is usually better than your expert opinion. Then, four, I joke with this a lot, but now I have sense and I recommend document everything. Make it clear in writing that the design was created without research. List the assumptions you made and outline the risks. This is not just about protecting yourself, although it does, it's about transparency in the process. And finally, build in some sort of post launch learning mechanisms. If you can't research before designing, at least make sure you can learn from what happened after launch. Analytics, feedback forms, user session recording, heat maps, scrolls, and all that. Set all of this up from day one. Now, what if you're already deep into this mess? Like you're deep into a no research project. Is all hope lost? Hmm, not at all. Remember that the design process is not linear. You can always reintroduce or go back to research in the process. Once the initial design is delivered, advocate for a research phase before moving on to the next iteration. Use any negative feedback or confusion as leverage. We need to understand why users are struggling with this particular thing. Build the research as you go approach. Every feedback session becomes a mini research opportunity. Ask deeper questions beyond do you like this? Focus on the why and how would you do this or how would you use this. Also, use each project as an opportunity to educate clients. I know some clients are very stubborn, but educate them about the value of research. Don't preach to them, just demonstrate. Show them how insights often lead to a better outcome. And that's a wrap on that. But let's come to also look at your moral values as a designer when you simply refuse projects. Like, when should you refuse projects without research component? I know the money is tempting, but I think there's a place you should draw the line. There's no one size fits all answer, but I'll give you some guidelines that you could use, and it has helped me. If the product impacts user safety or well-being, then research is non-negotiable. Shikena, don't talk too much on it. Leave. If the client repeatedly refuses to learn from past mistakes, it is a red flag, and it is just showing you that they will show you shege. So consider whether the relationship is worthy of crying in a Bentley. If the lack of research can fundamentally compromise your own professional integrity, it's completely fine if you walk away. As a designer, you have to balance business reality and also your design skill. And that tension will always be there. It will always exist in our profession, alongside our relationship with front-end developers. So where does this leave us in this whole thing? Is designing without research a necessary evil or a practice we should all fight against? I want you to know that research is not a luxury. It is fundamental. It is part of the design process. It usually even comes first so that we can all understand. And when you research, it leads to a better outcome for everybody involved. At the same time, we also need to be realistic. There will always be situations where this ideal process, this paper process does not work, honestly. In those cases, having strategies to mitigate the risks become very, very essential. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think about all I've been saying since morning. If you have found it effective to handle designing blind situation, how do you balance speed and quality? Quality is inherent, but speed is something. Until next time, I'm your host, Mubarak Babajide. Design with intentions. See you on the next one. Thank you.